Good evening, Miami. Happy Hump Day. A special episode of Fast Break. As the Lone Ranger here. It's going to be a solo fast break, so I'm just going to take it to the hole for a layup. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Like always, like, share, and subscribe. You see it in very small print there in the bottom underneath Fast Break. Um, we weren't going to do a show this week. Obviously, we have some personal things we're taking care of. So 10th Street Boys will be on live again next Monday. And most likely it'll just be a one-man show today, so I'll keep it short, maybe 10 to 15 range. If any of my partners come on, I'll bring them in. But if anybody has any questions, any concerns, let me know. We can make it. What's up, Art? Well, how you doing, my man? Um, Without further ado, I'm gonna go right into the situation. Last week, it's funny because I was talking in network, and I'm like, right now it's basketball dead season. We're really not gonna do much. If there's any special episode, we'll come on live. We'll talk about any breaking news, and then the NBA sends out a memo in regards to the Dame Lillard situation. I don't know at this point if the NBA is doing this to save face. I don't believe they'll mingle or get involved per se in vetoing a trade, but obviously it's in the best interest of the NBA, of Portland, of Miami. We understand the notion that the Blazers were left with no leverage in regards to the Dame Lillard situation. You can kind of make the conclusion that they put themselves in these situations. They had a chance to build a contender around him. He has been loyal to that organization. If everything is as it seems, and there were quote unquote a wink wink deal where you're going to sign this extension, we're going to do everything possible to build a contender. If we don't, we'll ship you out to your destination of choice. Obviously, someone lied to somebody in the situation. It got ugly. It didn't get as ugly as it could. It could still get ugly. But you never want these situations to leak. You never want to handle this through the press. And it seems to be that the press is the one that's going to get this deal done because Portland seems to be reluctant to negotiate with Miami to actually sit. I don't know how, at this point, I understand the image Cronin is trying to portray where he didn't take the first deal, that he negotiated. But at the end of the day, the longer it takes, unless anything comes out of nowhere, they're not going to get a better package from Miami. They're going to get exactly what Miami initially intended to offer, which I assume is not the best offer on the table yet, because you're not going to get the best offer right away. But you're not going to negotiate against yourself. So we've talked about so many podcasts before. It's kind of a summary of what's been going on now that the league officially got involved. And I know they interviewed Lillard's agent Goodwin. Um, exactly what he said and didn't say, and it is true. We got to give credit to Lillard and his agent. They never said that they wouldn't report. They just said that they were going to get a disgruntled star, a disgruntled player, an unhappy player, which logically is going to deter serious organizations that are not at a championship level. You're not going to trade multiple assets. You're not going to trade your most important assets for possibly having Dame Lillard. This isn't a Paul George situation in OKC, even an Anthony Davis situation where he had 1 year left on his contract. There's many options, that have come up. But Dame Lillard came out today. Obviously, he's the epitome of a professional. I don't know if this is to save face again. I don't know how much if this is actually PR. And from the Portland side, from the Dame side, there's reports today that if he is not traded by training camp, he will show up and he will play. He's not going to risk obviously losing money. But if he is strong on his stance, and the one bilateral move that could move this along is also the James Harden situation. I feel that if the James Harden situation has a resolution before Dame, it could ease the market a little bit in regards to the perception of if Harden goes to his destination of choice, which is the Clippers. So it's funny when you sit down and think about it, how these two deals can kind of go hand in hand. One of them can help out the other. Now we know, everybody knows the Portland Trailblazers have no other offer. There is no competitive bidding war for Dame Lillard services. So at this point, if I understand being the GM of this organization, the optics of this Unfortunately, this is no longer about optics. You got to save also your reputation because Dame Lillard is a top 75 player, a Hall of Fame player. He is arguably the best player in franchise history. He single-handedly carried your franchise for the past decade. So there is an earned level of respect that you have in this league. And people, it's not a written rule. And unfortunately, people always like to go by that. Oh, he signed the contract. He can go anywhere. Yes, he signed the contract. But there was an understanding of him guaranteeing them something and also them working with him. So it's a partnership. When you have a superstar of that magnitude, it's not really a contract with team and player. It's a partnership with team and player. Okay, Portland is not a free agent destination. They have to build through the draft. They have to build through trades. So they can take this as a passing of the guard. I had a feeling, and I'm obviously talking to the guys here, that I had a feeling they were going to have a resolution. Once I saw the impasse reach 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'm like, this is going to probably drag on the whole summer because there's no sense of urgency. There's no necessity to complete anything. The longer you wait, Cronin obviously risk damaging his reputation further. You also give the possibility of Dame getting frustrated to a point where he doesn't mind getting fined and stating once again that he just wants to go to Miami. But hopefully this gets resolved in good faith within closed doors and the trade is executed. And now, in regards to insiders, Shams, Woj, obviously we understand that Woj is the counterpart with organizations. Woj is the voice for the small market teams, important in this aspect. So whatever you hear from Woj is what you hear from Cronin. And there seemed to be that, which a lot of podcasts obviously alluded to before, and we didn't do a show late last week, but the tone in which Woj is reporting certain things and the verbiage he's using, you can tell that Cronin is going through the stages of separation. He's going through the stages of grief. He probably is already in the acceptance stage, but he can't let it show because he still wants to squeeze out a little bit more. Now, the Shams report, the potential package, if you have no one bidding against you, there's no reason for you to up your bid. You maybe up your bid a piece or two to get the deal done because you don't want it to drag into training camp. You don't want it to elongate and because you're trying to build chemistry. You have a championship window. Time is of the essence. Obviously, Dame is the true professional. He's played with Bam. The playing style is going to be rather easy. And Jimmy, a lot of people are talking about Jimmy. Jimmy's going to adjust perfectly fine to this. Even the acquisition of Josh Richardson, that's another piece defensively that is going to go great with Dame because Dame is not a great defender. He's a decent on-ball defender, but he's not great. He's not known for that. That's not one of his fortitudes. So you acquired Richardson. You have Bam. Now you have height, which is the polar opposites. Last offseason, we were high on wings. We had excessive logjam at wings. Now it seems to be the front court is the logjam with Kevin Love, with Thomas Bryant, Orlando Robinson, Bam Adebayo, which is a good problem to have. Size and athletic size and size that can stretch the floor is a good problem to have in this NBA. So I'm fine with that. When they keep talking about notice that it's gone a little quiet free agency wise. There's no movement right now. Why? Because you're waiting for the domino to fall. The dominoes being Dame Lillard and James Harden. So until those two find a home, until there's resolution, you're not going to see the Kelly Oubre's, the Christian Woods, the Goran Dragic, and with all rumored possible Heat connections, obviously, especially with Goran. It's just, to me, it's delaying the inevitable. You're playing the game of chicken. You're still going to play the game of chicken probably into mid-August, late August, and it could drag into September. So those are situations that you have to be prepared for. But Heat Nation, hold strong. We talked about this many times since the beginning, since the trade demand was done, I believe, a month ago or a month and a day ago, which has seemed like an eternity. But the moment he requested that, and he made Miami the sole destination, my thing was, I'm like, how long does it take? Because even with KD gave them a 3 destination finalist. Obviously, his preference was to go to Phoenix, and he ended up going to Phoenix. So my fear was, if this drags out, because the fact that Dame has that positive outlook from the media, from the fans, I'm like, this could go two ways. Either this backfires on him, but obviously it's pre-calculated, so very doubtful. This backfires on him and he expands his list, which takes away Miami's leverage, or he holds firm. Why? Because when I noticed that he was going to hold firm and he wasn't going to swap out and add another destination to his wish list, I knew that there was something that was agreed upon with Cronin, and he just didn't follow through. Because situations like this, whenever a superstar goes public, and obviously it is this has Miami Heat written all over it. This has Miami Heat written all over it because this is the prototypical disgruntled superstar that demands a trade. The whole Jimmy Butler situation over again. We had to wait a year to acquire Jimmy, and we acquired him for Josh Richardson, and now Josh Richardson is back, which to me, honestly, is one of the most exciting parts here because we never got to see Josh Richardson play with Jimmy Butler, and I feel he will complement Jimmy's game perfectly because he just slides right in. So those are things that I'm looking forward to. I'm excited for the makeup of this team, and people, it kind of sound like Dolphins Twitter, where they're saying that, oh, this team is the same team as last year or worse. Look, realistically, I want to see what we give up for Dame, whatever the package is centered around, whether we do keep Hero, whether the package is Hero to a third team, expiring contracts to Portland, one young asset. I will go to my grave. There's no way we're trading Jovic and Jaquez. We're going to trade one of them, but we're not trading both, if any. I do believe we can do this deal without trading them because trading them three first-round picks, possibly 4 first-round picks, is an asset within themselves. This is the changing of the guard, okay? Dame Lillard is going to be in a championship. He needs to go to a championship contending team, and Dame Lillard is only an asset team if that is your end goal. Portland right now is not going anywhere. Portland is they've been in a soft rebuild for the past 2 years, kind of disguised with Jeremy Grant and Dame. But when they traded CJ, you kind of like, oh, maybe they'll open up the door for Simmons. Okay, Simons. All right, Anthony, maybe he get. Then you started seeing that they keep drafting these young guards. You got Sharp last year. You're not going to pass up on Scoop. So you're in a full rebuild. In the aspect of letting the young guys play, you don't want this cloud over them because if training camp starts, it's going to be a cloud over Portland and over Miami. Obviously, they're all professionals, so it will be handled correctly, but you want to get this resolved. Now, Pat Riley is famous for getting his guy at his price, but if the deal is closed, he is willing to give up that extra nickel, like he says, to get the deal done. Why? Because it saves time. It's your hassle. You're negotiating in good faith. But I suggestion to Portland, and I'm surprised by this because this is a professional organization. They just seem to be doing this out of spite because just man alone, when you have a player of this situation, you can say he's trying to strong arm you, but you need to have open dialogues with teams. Okay, you're professionals, you're adults here. You're not a little kid. You took my lunch money. I'm not going to talk to you for a week. You're not my friend anymore. That's not how this works because you never know when you're going to need one another to complete a deal. Relationships are important. People seem to not understand this. People like to go with what's cool and what's hot in the media. Relationships are important in professional sports. Why? Look at the whole Donovan Mitchell situation. Highly doubtful that he would have signed with the Cavs. The Cavs went for it because he's under contract for 4 years. He's eligible for an extension. Is he going to sign it in Cleveland? No, he's not. Most likely he will be traded before the completion of his contract. Why? Because Cleveland gambled. Now, it's on Cleveland to make sure you surround them with the young pieces, but this seems to be the trend in the NBA. A lot of these young teams that are in contending mode, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota Timberwolves seemed to be a team that was contending. They had all the right pieces. They go to trade for Rudy Gobert. You just fucked up your whole rotation. And is it going to work with Cat? No, it's not. No matter how much you're going to build around Ant, you got to build around Anthony Edwards. So you got to move one of them. And I see a lot of these young teams, for some reason, teams go all in. if you don't succeed within your championship window, you're on a rebuild. Now, the Nuggets did it the right way. They built from the ground up. They sustained. They struggled, and now they're world champs. So there's two different models. Obviously, Miami's a sexy destination. We have Pat Riley. We're in win now mode. I do see this front office being very responsible. And the fact that we're about to get Dame Lillard for half the price of what he's worth is speaks for itself of the quality of negotiations and situations, because this is a masterclass with the agents. A lot of people think about, oh, his agent back. This is going to backfire on his agent. He played himself. This is all calculated. Notice that Dame Lillard in this whole situation, Dame Lillard is not going to come out as the bad guy. Why? Because they waited just to the precise moment where the media was supporting them, was backing them up, and basically telling Dame, what are you still doing in Portland, man? You've had chances to go. So it's already beyond the fact that Dame has been loyal to you. So this comes down to relationships. This deal, to me, is not about assets anymore. This deal becomes relationships. You can try to paint it out to be of, what's up, Bobby? Let me see. Was the report of Lillard planning to attend Blazers training camp is Detroit with Miami dead? No, and I'll tell you why. The reason this report came out, obviously, it could be Lillard's camp doing the same thing the NBA did with a memo to save face, to be in good standing, and we're going to be fair with these negotiations on a report. But the number one key to this is that no team has made an offer. There is no second offer. So that's it seems to be that the whole NBA is in agreement and wants to see Lillard go to the Miami Heat, except Portland. And it's just waiting for Portland to accept it. Why? Because realistically, you're not going to play Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is not an asset. And you run the risk of him getting hurt, of him devaluing even more, and you have to stick with his contract while you're rebuilding. So this is a win-win for Portland. Like I said, I understand the optics of this, but it is in Portland's best interest to basically remove Dame, be thankful to Dame, like OKC did with Westbrook. It was an era. You couldn't get it done. Let the person compete at the highest level where he wants to go. And realistically, I like to play this in alternate universe, a parallel universe. Dame Lillard doesn't sign an extension. He walks as a free agent. You just lost Dame Lillard as a free agent. You're not going to get anything back. Look at it this way. Okay, I'm losing Dame Lillard. I'm getting 3 first-round picks. I'm getting a young player. I'm getting expiring contracts. That is an asset within itself for a player that does not want to play there anymore, has a $60 million cap hit in the last 2 years of his contract, and he is not part of your future. So it just comes to a point where you have to meet in the middle. You're not going to get the package that you want because right now Lillard is a depreciated asset because of his demands. He only wants to go to one team. If Dame Lillard comes out and says, I could go to 4 to 5 teams, all of a sudden you got a massive bidding war. Because arguably Dame Lillard just came out of his best season statistically. So he's still in his prime. And we all understand in this Heat organization, the older you get, the more, I'm not going to say the more valuable you become. It's like a raisin. It's like a olive. They squeeze as much as you can and they improve. I've never seen an organization improve a great player as Miami does. I just look at Jimmy Butler. We all knew who Jimmy Butler was, but after he came to Miami, and obviously you have the example of LeBron and many others, after he came to Miami, Jimmy Butler's in a different stratosphere. He's a more complete basketball player. That's without the question of fit-wise, improvement, the true shooting percentage, efficiency. That's going to be there. Now, when does it get done? I don't believe it's going to be a dead. Could it go into training camp? It could. Then it gets messy because obviously you got the hero situation. So it's in the best interest to resolve for training camp. Hopefully they do. There's a possibility with him saying that Cronin takes that and drags it out to training camp, or he tries to extract another asset from Miami. It's like, hey, man, he's willing to go to training camp. Let's get this done. I need something else. I want something else. But in order for that to happen, you need to speak. You need to get on the phone and talk. I don't know why. To me, it's comical at this point when the Heat don't leak a lot of things. But I'm pretty sure they leaked that package with Shams to make sure that they know that Portland knows, like, look, dude, the package is there, and everybody around the league can agree that's not a bad package for an aging superstar that doesn't want to be in your team and demanded one team. So you just got to pick the time and place, and you got to execute it. Do I see this dragging into training camp? It could. Do I hope it drags into training camp? I don't, because you want this team, especially with Jimmy and Bam and the new pieces coming in with Jovic if he stays here. Depending if Robinson comes and goes, you want them to have a full training camp with each other. You want them to be able to develop that chemistry, because it's difficult to develop that chemistry in season. It could happen. And the first month of the season could be an extended training camp. You never know. It has been done before. So I just sit back as a fan, and this is not because I'm not being a homer here. I'm happy, obviously, that Dame Lillard requested, demanded to come only to our team because of our culture, because of what we represent, because of the championship aspirations. Is it unfair to the NBA how people look at it? It could be. That's why they're all upset. I guarantee you, any other team, like we've talked about before, if it was New York, LA, the Celtics, no one would have heard a beep about anything. But why? Because it's Miami. They're always going to make it. And at this point, the national media cannot say anything about not having a bias against Miami, even the NBA. So I know Adam Silver's not going to veto a trade because it's within the legal realm. And it sets a precedence because there's players that have demanded one team and over, and they've gotten to their destination. James Harden. Teams work with each other. Like I said, the relationships are the most important part of this organization, of any organization, any professional organization. If you don't have a healthy relationship with agents, with other GMs, you're not going to get a deal done. That's why, obviously, with Danny Ainge, we've made trades with the Celtics. But even with the Jazz, we're not going to get in these favorable comparisons or working with you unless you're going to get what you want. Now, I do see Danny Ainge maybe stepping up because he can get Hero for a cheaper price. And that's another thing. This is my last talking point for today. If Hero stays, I'll be one of the happiest fans, and professionally as well, from a coach's perspective, because I think it could work. I think it could be marvelous. If he goes, I understand the dynamic and the worth in his contract. Someone is going to get a 20-something-year-old superstar with a reasonable contract for the next 3 years with a massive chip on his shoulder. Tyler Hero was the epitome of a professional. People have attacked him. People have attacked his character. He was a young kid. He's made mistakes. Who hasn't? I get that. That is a professional basketball player right there. And whoever gets him as the third team has a gem on their hands, because they're going to have to give up only a first-round pick. And right now, Tyler Hero's going rate could be 2 first-round picks. Any team. Like, I don't think people understand. Oh, almost lost the TV there. Almost lost the iPad. I don't think people understand Tyler Hero, the basketball player. They just see Tyler Hero that he's been involved in trade rumors since he got drafted. Westbrook, Harden, Durant, and he might actually finally get traded for Dame. So I take that as honor. I'll take that as motivation. And I wish him the best wherever he goes. And if he stays, bro, let's ride it to the sunset, because you have a nucleus that even after Dame and another thing, this whole Ira Winderman with Jimmy Butler's contract, that to me was funny. When I read that Jimmy Butler is eligible for an extension, I'm like, guys, Jimmy Butler's going to be 37 years old. Jimmy Butler's not signing another massive extension at that age. Trust me, that's not going to happen. So people have to remove that. That extension is going to go to Bam. When Bam's extension is done and he plays it out, he's going to get those 5 years, $300-something million. That's Bam's extension. Jimmy, at that point, is going to probably play in a reasonable contract if he wants to continue to play. Because, quite frankly, if we win a couple of titles, he's going to retire. He's going to retire. So I want to see this play out as easy as possible, as smooth as possible. And I do see maybe mid-August, third week of August, this being resolved. I don't expect this to go into training camp. The more verbiage that I hear from Woj, the more it comes out as realistically this could get done, because it seems to be that Cronin is accepting the fact that there is no other offer. And at that point, when that is public, you're basically ridiculing yourself, because the whole league is going to look at you as like, my man, you got no other option. You either do this, or are you really going to play Damian Lillard Are you going to really make him come to training camp and play in the season and risk him getting injured and having to ride it out with him while you're doing a full rebuild? It's not going to happen, man. It's not in the best interest for your future, for your reputation, for your organization. So I do expect a resolution by August, hopefully in the next week or two. But like I said, it could push into training camp. But without further ado, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Fun season is coming. Football's back, so I know there's a lot of football content on the network. Our fantasy football draft, I've got to see what date it is, but probably been 2 or 3 weeks. So there's always fresh content, fresh show. Our wrestling show that was live on Monday's show. So make sure you tune in every day. There's some nice coverage here, and I promise you next Monday at 9 or 9:30. I think it's 9:30. We'll have East 10th Street Boys, a fresh East 10th Street Boys with Arrested, Bobby Melendez, and myself. So for everybody here at FTSN and Fast Break, I want to thank you for tuning in. Enjoy your Wednesday, Miami. Go Heat.